Welcome, everyone, to the CanadaGuns Talk Show, episode 54, NRAR. Oh, my God. OMG. Fuck it. I screwed up the title. Welcome. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
This is your host, The Crover. We have the hunting gear guy today and Crazy9, and we are hoping to give you guys the latest in the Canadian firearms community and also Reddit. Why do you have a garbage rod, Adriel?
This is one of them semi-auto garbage rods, though. I've got a garbage rod too.
Oh, right. That's just a quick shooting
quick shooting garbage rod. Yeah, this one's got a knife on it.
Ooh,
so
deadly! I thought that was a monopod.
Yeah, you can monopod with it too, but you can just you get your fork and this thing, and it's handy.
Hey, I've cooked hot dogs on a bayonet before.
Or there's some other people who found other uses for that bayonet.
If anybody's wondering what we're talking about one of these days, hop on the IRC. I'll shoot you the link. You'll shit your pants.
It goes around.
I have that shit archived. It's never going away. Rest in peace, the herps, even if you're not dead, because your account is dead. Yes, enough of the bullshit. What have you guys been up to? We don't even have show notes because Chad's not here today, so I'm sorry, Chad. How about you, Crazy? What have you been up to in the last couple of weeks?
I needed more ammo of 223 because I only had like 200 rounds of it left, so I went and bought a crate of Federal, that loose crate that had a $50 rebate, and then had to mutilate the crate. So 1,000 rounds of Federal got dumped into a 50 cal ammo can and half filled it. And that was because I needed to go and sight in this setup on my AR. I swapped out my Nikon scope for the red dot and magnifier that I bought, and I had to go set it in. So I went and did that on Sunday. And when I set it in first, it was at 10 yards, just to, adjust windage and all that shit. And what was hilarious is when I went up to 50, I had to dial it up so much. I was shooting the target above the one I was aiming, like a good 2 feet high. I couldn't even actually see that. I just guessed. I'm literally like, it's probably shooting really high. Cranked it the fuck down, and suddenly I was shooting 6 inches high and 3 inches left. And I'm like, oh, good, I can deal with this. Crank, and a couple more fine tunings, and I'm shooting bullseyes at 50. Which this thing has a 2 MOA dot on it anyway, so shooting a 1-inch group at 50 is about all you can expect out of it.
What kind of red dot is that?
It's the Bushnell Incinerate.
Ooh,
it's new for
how that performs. I haven't seen that one much.
Yeah, I haven't tried the iron sights on top of it yet, nor have I attempted to put a Glock red dot because this is apparently Glock dovetailed. I don't think I'm going to put a red dot on my red dot though. But so far it seemed pretty decent. I was getting, like I said, I was shooting bullseyes. Obviously, I was deploying the grip pod thing to do that with. I tried shooting kneeling because Silverdale won't let you shoot standing, and I probably suck royal ass at it because I don't tend to do that a lot. But yeah, this whole setup with the magnifier is pretty decent. You can't really see your shots at 50, but that's where my spotting scope came in. I brought that out for the first time and tested it, and on 20 times zoom at 50, I was able to see everything. So it was perfect. Nice and crisp and clear.
What's your spotting scope?
It's the Bushnell Trophy XLT or some shit like that. Not the angled one, the straight one.
So not the total shit ones, just the bargain bin ones.
Yeah, and it's I don't know what retail on those is. I paid like $250, but I think retail's like fucking twice that, pretty much. It one of the last things I bought at my last job before I left. Take advantage of those discounts while you can. But it's a 20 to 60 on the zoom by I think a 65 front lens, so it's pretty decent.
Nice.
It works well enough.
A lot with those spotting scopes, the quality of the glass is everything. Doesn't matter what you might find with that one is at about half zoom to full zoom. There's probably not a lot of difference in what you can see. If you spend like $1,000 on one of those things, yeah. It does. But it's such a bastard because it's so hard to justify spending that kind of money.
Yeah, I know. Like my dad has a spotting scope, but he paid $45 at Costco for it,
Ooh.
So I was just like, I want to get something better than my dad, because even trying to look at 100 yards, his comes with a full bipod, or a full tripod, sorry, that like stands up. Mine, it's like just a little one for on a desk. But even then, like using his spotting scope and trying to see at 100, it shakes around like fuck. Like it's hard to see anything because the thing's vibrating like a fucking sex toy.
Kinky.
Well, that has its pluses too.
Yeah, if you're into that sort of thing, the herps. Now, one question about your setup. So you dialed in the red dot close. Do you have to dial in the magnifier? Is there anything?
The magnifier, the only thing you have to dial in for the magnifier is centering the red dot. The magnifier does not have anything in and of itself. It literally just zooms in whatever's in front of it. But you can adjust it, because sometimes, like when I first turned it on, the red dot was in like the top corner. So I had to dial it so that the red dot, it readjusted it so the red dot was appearing in the middle of the magnifier. Like that's the only adjustment you make to that. Like if your red dot's up in the top corner here, but you've dialed your red dot in, where that red dot is still going to be hitting where it's supposed to. It's just not going to be centered in your magnifier, so it's going to be kind of awkward.
Yeah, I can see that. What kind of adjustments do you have on that magnifier?
I don't even... let me find out if it's quarter or if it's half.
No, the magnifier. I don't care about the red dot. Okay. Adriel!
Lost video.
What have you been up to?
How long has it been since I've been on the show? I feel like I've been away for a while.
You have been. You weren't here last time because you were shooting Bambi, weren't you?
Yes, I was shooting Bambi. I don't normally save my round, but I shot it with 6.5 Creedmoor, and I kind of wanted to reload with this, so I shot a deer with that. And it was a good thing I picked this nice slippery 140 grain bullet. It's got excellent BC. It'll carry really far. Just an incredible 25 yards. So you need that extra BC, that slipperiness of the bullet to make the hits at that kind of range.
For the uneducated, I know what that stands for, but what does BC stand for?
Ballistic coefficient. It's really long and it's really heavy, so it'll just keep on trucking, kind of a thing. But no, I didn't really need it. I shot a deer at 25 yards. If fucking anything would have worked at that range.
Hey! What about 17 Hornet?
I still think 17 Hornet.
Maybe in Ontario, but not in Alberta.
Yeah, not in Alberta. Yeah, I shot the deer right in the heart. Interestingly enough, it was going so fast. I don't think that bullet's made to hit a deer at 25 yards, because I hit it right in the good bits there. It went into the heart and it exploded. Like the heart blew in half. I've never seen it before.
Oh.
Like I've punched the heart before, and the heart's a dense muscle. So as soon as a bullet goes in there, it's going to be losing mass, unless it's like a very hard premium bullet. I don't generally use those. I generally use like a soft core. So I get that, that closer, that better kill. I didn't really need it. No. It just went into the heart, blew it right in half. There was like a third of it that was like flapping in the wind kind of thing. So that deer still went 15 yards and jumped a fence.
Seriously?
Yeah. Jumped a fence. Couldn't use its front legs anymore, so just plowed a little bit and then fell over dead. Just like stone cold dead. Only took like 3 seconds, but it still jumped a fucking fence. So I had to like go in there to the fence and like drag it over. Damn deer jumping fences on me.
Yeah, I mean, if his heart was gone, good for him making it 15 yards.
Yeah. Well, typically I'll try to shoot for heart and lungs, because a heart and lung shot means the deer is going to make it like on average 10 to 20 yards. And I do it because I'm lazy. I don't want to like track a deer really far. Heart and lungs is a big target. If it's like on a precipice or something like that, and it can get into some real nasty shit, I'll punch the front shoulders, put a round through there, and that'll generally drop them right there. But I thought heart and lungs.
Why will that shot placement cause it to drop right there?
Because they don't have front legs. They don't work anymore, so they just drop down. It's also where you've got a bunch of the vitals through here, so you'll catch the lungs. You might catch the spine if the shot's high, or you might catch a fragment that comes out. Once you go through the rib cage, if you catch any ribs on the way in, that creates additional shrapnel on the way in. So I don't know. This might be a little bit morbid for some of our listeners, but
hey man, it's part of the sport. It's part of the sport.
Yeah, part of hunting, I guess, is a little bit of anatomy and that kind of thing.
I'm curious because I have never shot Bambi. A shot was a rabbit with a pellet gun about 10 feet away.
Did it work?
Fuck yeah! I hit it right in the. Where the fuck did I hit mine? Through his fucking skull.
So one of my stands had a squirrel in it, and I have like a nice office chair in it, so I can like rotate, I can tilt. It's so nice, and it had a squirrel living in the seat. So day one, I just got rid of the nest. Like I tore it all up, got it all out of there. Day two, I go back. The squirrel's back, and the fucking nest is back. So I brought a pellet gun, a little like hand Crossman CO2 powered thing. Yep. I cranked the CO2 cartridge in there, and I shot that squirrel right in the face. And day three, it was back. It was non-fatal. So day three, I brought a 12 gauge, and yeah, the 12 gauge did the job. Fucking squirrel. I destroyed that nest like 4 or 5 times. It kept coming back. It was a nice spot though, like inside of a hunting shack. It's out of the wind. Predators can't get in there. So that squirrel wanted that spot and was not going to give it up. And I didn't really want it to tear up my fucking chair and whatnot, trying to make its nest. So I had to eliminate them. Let's see. What else did I do? I got a bunch of these hex mags in. Barton's had a killer deal on these things. 6 of them, like $16 a pop. Well, is that just me that's catching Kroger like that?
No,
or is that
no,
you guys?
He's kind of crapped out.
Okay, I'll just keep going. So I got a bunch of these Barton's hex mags. These are 10-round pistol mags, but they're full length. So this is one of the cooler things about some of the states getting the same restrictions as us. Because take a look at this. So it's actually really easy to disassemble. Oh, I say that and then I'm gonna have problems. So you pull the floor plate off there, and bango bango, got a riser. Got a 10 rounds worth of spring going on there and a follower. So this is like in the order of AR mags in Canada. This is extremely easy to clean. It's got the right spring for it. So it's not running a 30-round spring and only using the top 10. It's using a proper spring for it. And it goes back together like really quick. And the price was so good. So good with these guys. So the difference between running one of these and running one of the 20s or one of the 10s that you've put upside down, this is more to grip on. Once you drop this guy, you're just dropping the floor plate into the ground, not the feed lips of the magazine that you've got coupled. And yeah, so you can grab it. A little bit easier to grab.
By the time I decided I wanted those, they were sold out.
Oh man, so good. Such a good deal. I got a big heart on for these Barton's guys. Just the fact that they brought these in for such a reasonable price is so good, because they could have charged more. They could have charged a lot more for these things, but they didn't. So I'm super pleased with it, and the fact that they're selling like $16 a mag. You can't get like regular P mags for that here in Canada. So super happy with this.
Someone in the chat's trying to tell you that they're bad mags, but
they're bad mags.
Yeah.
Badass mags. I don't know, maybe they are. The plastic does feel cheaper than the PMag plastic. I don't know. I'll use them and abuse them for 3-gun, and if I break one, who the fuck cares? I've got more.
They were what, $16 you said?
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about these polymer mags is the feed lips. Once they get fucked up and damaged, that's it. You throw them out. With the metal ones, sometimes you bend one and you don't realize it's bent, and you keep using it, and it fucks up on feeding, and so I'll try that. I don't have my 1911 here, but I mailed it away to send it to finishing school. So it's going to have a trigger job done, Dawson precision sights installed, barrel bushing fitted because the barrel bushing was a little bit loose on it. It's going to have the slide to frame fit tightened. And some other stuff that I'm forgetting about. New slide stop. I think that's it.
But will it? Well, hold up, Adrian. Will it still jam?
Yeah. Oh, it didn't jam before, so probably now it will jam.
Probably now. Probably now.
I'm looking forward to it being a more classic 1911 that does jam more often. But
you should just get a Browning. That's been my experience with them. They jam all the time.
Well, didn't it take 3 gunsmiths and about 3 months to figure out that all you had to do was tighten the fucking extractor or something like that?
No, I brought it to Browning's one gunsmith. He shaved some shit down, fucking polished the chamber, gave it back to me, and I sold it within like 3 weeks after that.
Are they supposed to come with a polished chamber?
I have no fucking clue, but they're not supposed to be jamming every time they fucking close.
Well, it's not a stupid question because some guns don't have polished chambers or polished feed ramps.
Well, he said my chamber looked rough, so he went and did some crap in it.
Speaking about rough chambers, do you guys remember that at some point? Oh, hold on a second. Hey, is this caliber magazine sticking around on the side?
Yeah, it is. I can't get my webcam working.
Oh, there we go.
But hey, we got Caliber magazine up in here. We got questions for you, brother.
I'm happy to answer them.
Should we refer to you by Caliber or by what your name is?
You can call me Dan.
Okay. Hi, Dan.
Hello, everybody.
Nice to have
so awkward.
No, don't worry about it, buddy. I will continue. We will get back to you, and we will ask you what you've been up to in the last couple of weeks, or ever, because you're new here. I do want to mention that. Do you guys remember that at some point I owned a Remington 700?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a heavy barrel, varmint. I heard a cat.
That's my cat.
Sorry. I sold it to a buddy of mine, and I cleaned it before I sold it to him. And then the first time that he took it out, he was using some Chinese surplus 308. He closes the round, fires, and then pulls back. It's really fucking hard on the bolt, yanks the bolt back, and the case is lodged in the chamber.
Oh, you mean something kind of like that?
Close, but no, because that's the, Enfield doing Enfield things. This was Remington doing Remington things. Now, let me reiterate, and let's see if you guys figure out what was fucky with it, because it broke 2 cleaning rods getting that stuck case out of there. Let me reiterate, Remington 700, new manufacturer, Chinese surplus, 308, won the very first round after I cleaned it, and I gave it to a friend of mine. Click, boom, pulls back on the bolt, nothing comes out.
Well, you were shooting brass cased, so it probably extracted a lot easier than the Chinese shit that he was shooting. So that's probably what caused the issue. Is it locked up in the
brass case,
yeah,
wasn't it?
Chamber?
No, it's copper washed.
Oh, copper washed steel, right?
Copper washed steel. Yeah.
But 2 cleaning rods broke the first one, and we had to use another one to get it out. And when I said get it out, I mean I took the cleaning rod and I grabbed the cleaning rod and I slammed the butt of the rifle on the ground to get the cleaning rod enough force to spit out the case.
I mean, that sounds a lot like what happened with this casing, in which case it was the Chinese overcharged the fucking thing. It blew the damn primer and expanded the case out into the entire fucking chamber.
No, it was not the case. It was definitely the gun. So what was wrong with the gun?
Chamber's not to spec?
The only thing it can be is the chamber.
The chamber, closer, warmer, keep going. New manufacturer Remington.
Well, the problem is it's a Remington.
No.
Chamber rusted?
Yep! Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, my dad's 870 did that too.
Yeah, when I finally got the fucking case out, we're like, what the fuck is wrong with this thing? So we're looking around, and the outside of it looks streaked. We're like, what the fuck is up with that case? So I shine a light in the chamber. All the inside of the chamber is covered in rust. And I fucking cleaned that thing before I sold it to him.
Oh, man, this sounds like my SVT 40. It does that all the time.
I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, seriously, Remington, what the fuck? But before I talk about what I've been up to in the last couple of weeks regarding firearms, hey, Dan.
Yep.
I have a question for you.
Yep.
What kind of guns do you own?
Oh, well, I'm in my office, so hang on. I'll open some safes here.
Woo-hoo!
I want to say that sentence, but I don't think people like having guns at the office. I'm at the office.
Well,
just let me check out what's in the safe.
I got a Brigera, just a standard Brigera hunting rifle, 6.5 Creedmoor. What else do we have in there? The Merkel, Remington Model 10, 1907 manufacturer, Cooey, 16 gauge brake. My 1954 Remington 870 Wingmaster that I shot at trap for like 6 years. I got a Ross rifle that's been sporterized. It's actually going off to a gunsmith to get turned into kind of like a high-end European hunting rifle. My latest acquisition actually is a Pacific Coast Militia Rangers Winchester 3030 from the Second World War. It was issued to troops here in BC in case the Japanese landed on the islands. What's back there? Savage Mark II, CZ Ranger rifle, Sauer 101. Hang on, I got another safe over here.
So those ones were from your affordable Exotica article, right?
Yeah, we haven't got around to listing them for sale yet, so I don't. Plus, I don't know what else. I got a PM5, Valtro PM5. My Norinco M14, which was the second gun I ever got. My fiance bought that one for me.
Oh,
I've got another Brigera.
Is that why you haven't sold it?
I'll never sell that Norinco. The M14 is probably, in terms of spectrum of favorite guns, the M14 is up there on my favorite, especially mine because I've spent so much time and
money.
God knows how much money on it at this point. But on the plus side, I do shoot it pretty well.
Oh, good.
I got another 6.5 Brigera. Their modern sporting hunter, the MHR HMR hunting match rifle, which is actually pretty cool. Bought that one as well because that was kind of neat. I got a Remington 783 that I've had for probably 7 years now in an MDT LSS chassis. My also favorite gun listing, Bushmaster ACR DMR, BRS 99, Colt Canada IUR, Ruger 1022, Sub 2000. I have a Colt Canada lower with a Colt Canada SAS trial barrel upper on it. That is one of 3 that I probably won't sell. I just happened, that's one of those lucky things that falls in your lap when you work here.
Huh.
M&P 9, a couple Canics, Browning High Power, 1954 Belgian T-marked model, couple 1911s, couple 22 handguns.
I mean, they didn't let you take that punt gun home.
Pardon?
They didn't let you take that punt gun home.
Nope. No, it was just one of those. They actually had, they have a room in Colt Canada. They used to. Because Colt Canada's gone through some stuff that maybe we could talk about too. They had a sample room, because Colt Canada is not only a manufacturer, but they're the quote-unquote center of excellence for firearms in Canada, which means any gun that is sold by the Canadian military, or the Canadian government rather, to a foreign nation, or is used by any federal employee, has to be tested by Colt Canada for destruction. Both they block the breech, they block the muzzle, and then they blow up 2 guns, and they see how they perform.
So they are the Seabroad Arrow now?
They are, yeah. When Arsenals went down, Colt Canada, Dimaco kind of took over from that, so that's their job. So they had this room full of everything they'd ever tested. And in their infinite wisdom earlier last year, when things were going down with Colt, they decided that was just taking up one room too many in a largely empty warehouse anyways, so they sold off a ton of the stuff.
Fuck.
So I got a price list, and on that list was a bunch of stuff. I bought probably like 6 barrels. The one thing, they had one of the Danish Gen 2 uppers with those cool polymer sections on the handguard. Ooh. But it was like $3,700, and I couldn't afford that with everything else. The other thing that I really wanted was I had a prototype IUR upper in left hand, and I'm left-handed, so I was like, that'd be sweet. But it was in the white. It had never been anodized, and it was just like their early engineering mock-up. It was super cool.
I would have dirt-coated the shit out of that.
Well, the thing is now, unfortunately, Colt Canada has, they do not employ any more salespeople, and they do not employ any more members of the Canadian Forces or veterans of the Canadian Forces. So,
how does that work?
When Colt Canada is owned by Colt USA, Colt Hartford, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And Colt Hartford is owned by an investment company, and investment companies are really good at sucking all the profit out of a company using the branding and nothing else. Colt Canada is the So Colt Canada was actually generating a ton of revenue that was supporting the debt payments that the investment group had to make on the Hartford branch.
Oh, right.
However, as that slowed down,
when Colt went bankrupt, right?
Yeah. And they've been using Colt Canada to make the payments on that loan.
Oh,
Unfortunately, instead of saying how can we make more money, they just started to say how can we spend less. So they got rid of some really key individuals that were like, for example, the guy that created the IUR and the MRR. They're gone. They
Oh
don't
my
work there anymore.
god.
And actually, I mean, the MRR, which everyone kind of, made some fun of, is like, hey, Cold Canada finally rejoined 2007. He even got pushback on that. There were people in Cold Canada saying like, hey, whoa, like this is a little bit too cutting edge for us. And it's just kind of, they're a strange company, man. But I hope they succeed. We'll see.
This handguard is not green and circular. What are you doing?
Exactly. What do you mean the Browning high power isn't a modern firearm? But the crazy thing is, I mean, Colt Canada, like I've gone through that facility 10 times, and what's really cool every time I go is that like the floor is largely staffed by, I would say, probably 60 to 70% women. And it's not like any other gun factory I've been in where like they're just hammering. You go to like any other gun maker and they're just hammering together a gun on an assembly line, right? Like the Remington 700 assembly line, there's a bunch of guys making 700s at the end. They're more like gunsmiths because that whole center of excellence thing, every gun we've ever sold gets reconditioned there. So I was walking through a year ago and they were knocking together rifles for the SAS on one side of the floor. Another side of the floor was reconditioning 50 cal machine guns, M2s. And then one lady had a bunch of side-by-side break action shotguns that a Quebec company had produced in the 50s and sold to some Scandinavian country for use in their Ministry of Forests for like moose defense and shit. And when they needed them rebuilt, they shipped them back to Canada. And that company doesn't exist anymore. So these Colt Canada people are like, well, I guess we got to rebuild these. And then at the same time, as I'm talking to this lady about these like, 70-year-old break action shotguns, she's like, well, if you think this is old, there's a milk crate full of Inglis slides down there from World War II that I need to reparkerize after this. And I was like, holy fuck, this is not normal. Like this is not a normal company at all.
Wait, like high power slides?
Yeah, because all the
World War II high power slides.
Yeah, they still bring them back into service, man.
Holy fucking
How many high powers do you think the Canadian government has sitting around, Crover? Like they've got shit still in.
No. I know. Like from talking to like the people that I know that were deployed, they're like, oh yeah, in country you got like the absolute dog shit ones through your training and everything, and then when you got deployed, you got a still in degrees unissued one when you got to Afghanistan. And they're like, oh yeah, those ones were awesome. Like you had to do your training with piles of dicks, but as soon as you got, sent overseas, they gave you still in degrees, still in the freaking brown paper bag. You know what the ones I'm talking about, like the brown wax paper, high powers.
Yeah, most of them were like guys would open up the box and find like a 1954 service tag fall out because it was like last used in Korea. They worked really well. I mean, trigger reset's garbage, mag safety's terrible, but they were reliable.
That max
shoots
to stay in the gun for long. Yeah.
Yep.
From talking to some people, the for those of you who don't know, the Browning high power was signed with that if the mag is not inserted, bit as stupid as you think it is, just say that particular feature of the gun doesn't stay around for very long.
But if you pull it out,
it's very easily damaged.
And I've pulled it out of all of mine. You got to do a ton of work to get your trigger reset back, because otherwise the reset's just gone. It's literally like bang, and you release all the way to the end. Your finger comes off the trigger shoot, and you're like, holy shit, I guess it's reset by now.
I mean, quite frankly, the high powers trigger reset I find is just the whole length of the trigger pull anyway, even with that in there.
This is also a good point.
Like, this is one of the biggest reasons I bought the SRT kit for my SIG, is I found the Tokarev had a shorter, crisper reset than my SIG did. And I was like, okay, time to buy an SRT kit for this now.
Yeah, that really transforms that gun, though.
Oh, yeah. But what I was surprised about is, like, the Tokarev does have a very short, crisp reset. Like, once you get used to that gun, once you get used to that gun, it's actually a very accurate little fucking gun.
It's just too bad it's made by communists, Like,
we won the Cold War. To the victor go the spoils.
And the sights are fucking garbage on it, and the grip is garbage.
I put pink nail polish on the front sight.
Doesn't help that much.
No, it does. Believe me, it does.
So anything else that I can answer?
What have you done in guns in the last 2 weeks?
Absolutely nothing. I had my wisdom teeth out this morning, so I got really high. I also had a root canal done at the same time. Super fun times. Other than that, I put the last issue together. In it, we've got the BCL 102 with, we spent $900 on test ammunition for that gun. So
Holy
it's a pretty
shit.
conclusive.
Oh, so you bought 2 boxes of the high premium stuff?
No, actually, hang on. I will pull it up and I can tell you exactly how well it did. Just give me 1 second. We'll file here.
Oh,
While you're doing that, I do have one question for you that I've been dying to know because I haven't read your article. Was that Type 91 beaten to shit or not?
No, it hadn't been shot excessively or anything like that. It was fine.
Okay. Was the barrel rusty or anything?
Nope.
So it is actually a 5 MOA gun.
I think, honestly, if you could get an optic on it, you might get it down to 4. But with that sight radius that it's got, rested on
that
lead
rear
sled
sight.
like we had
And
it,
that rear sight.
yeah, you're not going to get, guys will shoot 4 MOA groups with it, I'm sure. Someone on CGN will shoot a 2 MOA group, but that I can guarantee. But, the legitimacy of those groups, I don't know. I mean, 4 MOA, some guy's going to reload. Yeah, some guy's going to reload, and they're going to stick an optic on it, and they'll lead sled it, and they might see 3.5 on a great day. But repeatability of that is going to be pretty tough, especially in field conditions. I'm pretty confident that field conditions, that's a 4.5 to 5 MOA gun. Especially with the ammo people are going to shoot it.
So the Chinese spliced together the SKS, the AKM, and they got a gun that did worse than both of them?
It's a strange gun, man. I think at the end of the day, it's just one of those quality control things. And 7.62 by 39, it's a hard gun to deal with. The pressure curve on it's really strange. It's not, it is. I mean, how many versions of match 7.62 by 39 do you see on the store shelf?
Hornady.
Any others?
I mean, I've seen Federal Blue Box. Hey, I've seen Federal Blue Box. That means that it's a well-known cartridge.
Yeah, but it's not match. Hornady makes match, but I look at the Hornady match and I go, yeah, so I can shoot what out of my fucking SKS? Like,
we actually want to do, I've got this grand plan for a long time. Ever since we blew an SKS up, I want to do an article on how accurate you can make an SKS by full on. I'll remove the gas system.
Oh, no. Somebody's already done that.
There's already someone who did that.
No, wait. Hold up. You haven't seen that blog post? There's a guy that
I saw the blog post.
Yeah, the one with the heavy barrel.
Getting it into a 2x4 and stuff like that.
Yeah. It was the guy spliced in a heavy barrel and got rid of the gas system, made it a straight pull gun.
And then he ended up strapping it to a table with ratchet straps, and it's kind of well, that's not a gun at this point. You have a small artillery piece. It's just a really shitty one.
That's like when these people have those fucking bench guns for precision rifle. I'm like, what's the point?
What's the point?
Oh yeah, the ones that have the hydraulic shock system, so that you can just go click, bang, bang, click, bang, bang, and the whole point of it is to see how many holes how many rounds you can put through the same hole.
I think they're 40 pounds. They have a 2-ounce trigger. I think most of those are an exercise in reloading excellence and machining ability.
Oh yeah, well, what people forget is that with those setups, there is a reloading bench sitting right there, and the guy just cranked out 10 rounds to the barometric pressure and temperature of the current shooting scenario.
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing that those people do.
That reloading bench is encased in plastic to be kept clean from the elements because God forbid his bullet should be off by 0.5 degree in alignment. Oh no, he can't shoot that.
Oh no.
That'll get you out of the teams.
Gilardo's claims he's going to shoot a 1 MOA group with his Type 81.
Who does?
Gilardo's on the IRC.
You fucking go for it, bro. Go for it. Let it rip, bro.
Good.
Do it.
Interested. I'm very. If he can, kudos.
So
I don't have one.
The trick is to shoot only one shot, and then every group is 1 MOA.
Oh, jeez.
No, he's.
So the one thing that I was thinking about it is they cranked out these guns just now. I mean, just now, relatively 2 years ago, and they just finally made it into the country. But the FRT submission gun that you guys tested, Dan, how old is that gun? Not in terms of quality, but in terms of when it was made, because from then to now, something had to have changed, right? I mean, they couldn't have just shipped out 2,000 Type 81s to Canada that were the same quality as the gun that you tested. Do you think there's going to be a difference?
I know there are some design differences because like the finish and stuff is different, so they're very specific. Like this is a different thing. I think
slightly longer.
Yeah, I think ours was 3 years old, I want to say. The date code is on it. And again, I can find the picture, but I can't find it in front of me. But I think it was 3 or 4. So it was a bit older. But I was told that in terms of all functional ability, accuracy, reliability, all that, it would replicate the guns that would be arriving in country.
God damn it, I want somebody to strap that fucking gun to a sled and just let it rip and see exactly how it does. Because that's the thing. I want to eliminate... I want a test that eliminates everything, that gives us the true mechanical. I want to see a true mechanical performance. And then I want to see, okay, the sight is dog shit, so that's a problem. Okay, the sight radius is dog shit, so that's a problem.
I mean, we shot ours. We do all of our test groups off of a lead sled because we try and take the human aspect out.
Okay.
But we don't, like with the exception of railed guns like AR-15s or long-range guns that are fitted with rail and no sights, we'll put an optic on those guns because that's what they're designed to be used with. But if a gun ships out with that gun, for example, with no ability to put an optic on it because it was just a dust cover with iron sights, we'll shoot it as it comes out of the box because that's... I mean, I literally, like, short of taking my MIG welder to the damn thing, I wasn't sure how I was supposed to get an optic on it. So that was just how we did it. But yeah, we shoot them all of like, my editor has a lead sled. I've got a lead sled. Everyone that shoots for us has a lead sled the company buys, so they can just shoot that. They all have to go out with a minimum of 5 different kinds of ammunition. They have to shoot a minimum of 5 rounds per group. They don't get to call any flyers. They don't get to discount any groups. If they shoot one group, because the way we use is average group MOA and mean radius MOA. So if some guy shoots, like, I'll go out and shoot a group and I'll be like, well, there was probably something weird with that one shot. I'll shoot another group with that same ammo and I'll just keep shooting it to work the average out. And then we just average out all the groups that we shoot. So truth be told, usually we don't have to shoot a ton of groups because, I mean, you stick a gun in a lead sled, you pull the trigger, it generally works out pretty well.
Well, and with something that I think that's still a fair way of assessing these, because if you look at that Type 81, yeah, it's got a short sight radius on it, and if you're going to use it as it comes, that's what you're going to see, right? You're not going to see a 1 MOA gun. You wouldn't be able to get it with the sight combination it's got on it anyway. So I think it's fair to shoot it as it comes and not find, like, you wouldn't drill and tap that bastard just to see, oh yeah, actually if you have a scope on there and it's drilled and tapped in, you can get 4 MOA. Like, who cares, right?
Well, and if you take, like,
short sight radius,
you know, an Accuracy International and you stamp Type 81 on the side with a hot soldering iron, suddenly it's the 3rd MOA gun. Amazing, 3rd MOA Type 81, chambered in 338 Lapua mag.
That's how Norinco does their testing.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say that, like, we've gotten quite serious about the accuracy testing in the last little while with the mean radius stuff, just because, like, I just basically decided that it was going to happen. Like, I told my editor, like, you got to go out and shoot a shitload of ammo, and we started spending a ton on it. And it's definitely been like, you know, you shoot some guns that are just like, I don't know how these people are getting these groups, but maybe it's the internet. Maybe they're shooting at 50 meters instead of 70 or 100 or whatever else. Something's weird going on, but yeah, it's interesting. That's for sure.
Apparently there's an Obzor AK sight that clamps onto the rear trunnion rivets. Huh.
I mean, I've seen weird-ass ways that Chinese have mounted red dots on those fucking guns. But the thing I most thought would be, like, the thing I expected the most was a side mount, like an AK-style side mount for a PSO. And the fact that they don't have that.
You know, somebody, like, if these things catch on, if the 5 MOA performance continues, somebody's going to go, well, can we do better? I'm thinking maybe Spectre Ballistics will work a way to fucking crank out something to slap on the side of it, and then maybe they'll be able to mount an optic to it.
You know what I'm expecting is within a couple of months, we're going to have Type81.ca. You know, the same guys who did M14 and Type 97, they're going to do Type 81. And they're going to have something.
I hope so.
If you want an accurate Type 81, why wouldn't you just get a VZ58?
Or an SKS. It's fucking better than it.
Well, let's not convince anyone to buy an SKS, but, you know, VZ58.
Just
because
saying.
the VZ58 still costs $500 more than this thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So what did you use to test that BCL? Back to that
We
thing.
shot 308. It's all 308. Winchester Federal Gold Medal match, 168 grain PTHP. Same thing, 175 grain. Hornady Steel match, 155 grain boat tail hollow point. Federal Fusion 180 grain SPBT. Hornady Precision Hunter 178 grain ELDX. Remington Core Locked 150 and 180. Federal Fusion 150. Hornady American Whitetail 165 grain interlocks. Federal Power Shock 180 grain SP. Hornady Match ELD 168 grain. Hornady Super Performance 165 grain SST, Nosler 165 grain boat tail, Nosler Trophy grade 165 grain AccuBonds, Barnell 145 grain FMJ surplus, Norinco Green Box 150 grain, and Aguila 150 grain Full Metal Jacket boat tail.
Interesting. So Jerry from Mystic Precision was trying to accuracy test that thing, but he was on a long timeline. So it looks like you guys beat him to the punch with trying a bunch of different rounds in that thing to see how accurate it was. It's like.
Average group MOA was all over the map. Well, it wasn't really all over the map. It's quality and stuff, but lowest average group MOA, like center to center across, was 1.3 MOA. It was an interesting one because it went all the way up to the Nosler Trophy grain 165, or Nosler Trophy grade 165 grain shot into 7 MOA.
It did not like that.
No, it really did not.
There was one that, and the Nosler 165 grain boat tail was a 5 MOA, but most of it is in the 2.5 or less. And the mean radius MOA between all of it is, that best one is 0.45 MOA. So your average shot is going to land less than half an inch from your point of aim. So it's a pretty accurate gun that way.
So it's a battle rifle.
I'd say it's actually a little bit better because I don't know. Like I've actually planning to do a YouTube video because I don't know, just for anyone that's watching, like the difference between average group MOA and mean radius MOA. Average group MOA is the conventional method of the farthest shot from farthest shot across the circle is what it is. But if you could imagine, and this is why I wish I had a webcam handy, if you could imagine that you shoot a 5-shot group and one flyer is 5 inches away and the other 4 shots are within 1 inch, you've got a pretty accurate gun just that shoots the occasional flyer, right? Mm-hmm. That's probably a more accurate gun than a gun that shoots all 5 rounds around a 5-inch diameter, right?
Yes.
So mean radius takes all of the shots on a group and it averages out the distance from the point of aim of that group. Mm. So you have, like, we use an app on our phones. You take a picture of your target, you mark out where your spots are, you measure a 1-inch grid square on that picture, and it basically says if you were to perfectly sight your rifle in, your point of aim would be right here, and the shots are averaging this far from that point of aim. So when you see an average group MOA of 1.3 inches, it throws the occasional flyer, but when you see a mean radius of 0.45, it tells you that if you aim here, your average shot is going to land less than half an inch away from your point of aim. So it will throw the occasional flyer out to 1.3 MOA, but most of them are going to be less than an MOA, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know that makes
sense. Using that, it's really great because it's a way better. It's what the U.S. Army uses to actually evaluate their rifles for selection because it's a way better system of actually measuring real-world accuracy. Like, will you hit what you're aiming at? Mean radius MOA tells you way more about that. It hasn't been used in the past because it's really hard to figure out until modern technology came around with the ability to measure groups electronically. But also, too, it's a method of measuring groups that actually can improve with every additional data set. So if you shoot a 5-shot group, I mean, as we were talking about earlier, you want to shoot a 1 MOA Type 81, shoot 1 shot. There's your, you want a great group, shoot a 3-shot group. Every shot you take risks, the only thing you risk is the group getting bigger, right? You will never get better than 1 MOA with that first shot. Whereas mean radius, every shot, if it lands, if the average group is, or the average group size is 1.3, but the mean radius is 0.45, every shot that you take that lands less than 1.3 MOA reduces the mean radius average. So it actually shows the more you could take a 100-shot grouping and you have a really great data sample. Say in 100 shots, your bullets will land 0.4 inches from your point of aim, and that'd be like a really good conclusive data set.
This was a bone-stuck gun, wasn't it?
It was.
So
no, that's not true. It had a phase 5 charging handle on it.
Oh, well, there's your fucking problem.
I know, it's a ringer, right?
So
I'm left-handed. I don't like the regular charging handle. I don't want your thoughts from me.
No. I feel you, brother. I have the same thing in my AR. Actually, no, I have a Raptor, but whatever.
La-di-da. Some of us had to pay for rent instead.
Dude, don't worry. I sold the whole gun. By the way, we're gonna take a small break from the nerding out on guns and talk about what Kroger's been up to. I sold most of my AR. The only thing that's left is the lower with original Colt parts. I've sold the IUR. The IUR. I sold the optic, which, by the way, fun fact, that optic weighed 2 pounds. So that's why that IUR in its configuration was about 11 or 12 pounds. I can't remember how much. The IUR is gone. The Colt US full auto trigger BCG. Yeah, the trigger. No, not the trigger. The fucking bolt. It's gone too. I'm keeping the Pepper Burrs mount, the MOA MacBull grip, and the Canada A2 stock. Everything else is going. And I'm keeping the charging handle and the safety and mag release because those are my ambi parts. And ambi is awesome, and I paid way too much money for those ambi parts, as I'm sure Dan knows.
Being left-handed does suck.
Actually, you know what? I'm not even left-handed. I just shoot better with my left eye because my left eye is way better than my right eye. It's a stupid thing.
It is.
Well, it's a good thing you got into it now, because the longer you go left eye dominant with shooting right, the harder it's going to be to change later, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's. I had my eyes checked a few years ago, and I have like 20/30 vision in my right eye, which is slightly below perfect vision, and then I have 20+2 on my left eye, which means I have above average vision on my left eye. So why the fuck would I choose shoot with my right eye? But yeah, it's good that you tested so many fucking ammos, man. Jesus, was there any correlation between bullet grain and performance? Does it like heavier stuff, lighter stuff?
It does seem to like heavier stuff, basically. I mean, it's not really surprising. Everything from 168 grain to 175 grain kind of work best. Everything lighter, not as good. You get into the soft point stuff, again, not as good. I mean, that's why I was kind of surprised the Nosler 165 grain, because that's just under the sweet spot. But, maybe they're using a different powder charge or something like that. I'm not sure. But it did like sort of, honestly, I have a sneaking suspicion that if you were to reload for a BCL 102 with basically the exact same load that you load for an M14, 168 grain bullet, you're probably with 22, 24 grains, 4895, you're probably going to get right into that sweet spot again.
Does the handguard that it comes with free floated?
Yep.
So it's a free floated barrel, and it's still doing that, what, 2.5 MOA average?
Average, well, average. I haven't got an average of all of the groups, but the best average is 1.3, and that's with gold medal match. So 1.3 MOA is the best. But most ammo that, Remington Core Locked is 2.5 MOA, and that's pretty cheap, basic, soft point, nothing ammo. So
was that the 180 or the 165?
The 150 shot 2.5. The 180 shot 2.46 with the 150 grain. The 180 grain shot 2.45.
Huh.
So the only downside is we didn't see really great, plinking, like Agwell 150 grain, 3.4 MOA. Norinco Green Box, 3.6 MOA. Barn Owl 145 grain, 2.7 MOA. So if you're shooting it plinking wise, I'd probably reload for it, because short of that, or hard to be steel match.
If you reload for anything, you'll do something to the performance.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of tempted to buy one of the BCL 102s. I was not going to, but then we got this one in, and I was like, it's actually it's pretty decent, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Roll on yours, because I saw a lot of people talking about picking up a BCL and then immediately changing up the barrel, making it into just upping the accuracy, I guess, on it.
I probably wouldn't, because having seen, 1.3 MOA with federal gold medal match, and generally I personally expect to see at least a 20% improvement on that with reloaded ammo specifically for a gun. I'm going to get sub MOA out of it with reloads, especially if I could use the same reloads that I reloaded from my M14, because I pound through those like there's no tomorrow. So,
well, I remember seeing a video from NEA of someone shooting that at 600 meters, I think they said it was, and he was getting 1.06 MOA.
Must have been reloads.
Now, granted, that's from the company making the guns, so God knows what fuckery they're doing to accomplish that. But
they probably had it well worn and they knew a load, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the gun has potential. My thing with building it is that the AR-10, and this is I'm interested to see, because I know the subject of this talk is supposed to be the non-restricted AR thing. The BCL
don't worry, man. Don't worry, man. We're shooting the shit, and we're gonna keep going until somebody says "fuck off."
The 102, like AR-10s have no like consistent standard, right? Like there's DPMS pattern AR-308, DPMS pattern AR-10. There's Armalite pattern AR-10, AR-308. There's the Knights Armament upper level. There's 5 different profiles of receiver. There's some of them have non-rebated bolt carrier groups, so it's a 308 size bolt carrier that stays the same size into the buffer tube. There's some that have like a 5.56 size bolt carrier. It's like all kinds of fuckery. So it's not like these Maccabee Defense where like, oh, it's AR-15 spec. You can buy any AR-15 part and bolt it on. This is much more like you kind of need to do some research because like the barrel extensions, there's 2 different kinds of specs on AR-10 barrel extensions, and NEA is apparently on the Gen 2 going to be using a whole different barrel spec all their own, which will work with one of the specs but not with the other. So it's kind of like, you know, you can't throw...
People being throwing Armalite shit into it right now?
I don't know. I mean, I've been trying to keep track of it, but the thing is, it's such a nebulous topic because even Armalite, is it Armalite AR-308, Armalite AR-10? Like, there's... Because the barrel extensions, it alters your headspace because it just moves the barrel out from the receiver or closer to the receiver. So if you're not swapping bolts over, and will that bolt work with your trigger group, the magazine, the buffer tube? I have no idea. So,
yeah, a lot more nebulous than getting into an AR-15.
Yeah, I'd probably just buy one and stick an optic on it and just be like, ta-da, truck gun.
Yeah.
Well, there's a truck gun. There's a one. But speaking now that we're done circle jerking about NR 308s, let's circle jerk about NR 5.56 guns, because as you are all, I'm sure, familiar, and at least the majority of our viewers, Macaroon Industries, or that's how I like to call them, Maccabee, they came up with something rather radical, or not radical at all, something that the Canadian market has been asking for a very long time, that ATRS went, we have something for you, and then put a $3,000 price tag on it, and that is a non-restricted AR-15. But
realistically,
wait, it's not an AR-15, because according to the FRT table from the RCMP Firearms Lab, it is a combination of designs and features borrowed from AR-15s and other platforms. So it is not an AR-15. However, it will fit everything on an AR-15. So if it quacks like a duck and shoots like an AR-15, is it an AR-15 duck?
Realistically, when I look at that and you say the ATRS is $3,600, so is the Maccabee Defense. When you take into account the fact that the receiver and upper, like the receivers being $1,000, when you try and put the same quality of parts into it that ATRS is doing, you're going to end up with a gun that costs the exact same amount there. It's just if you try and put cheaper parts into it, you end up with a gun that costs the same as an NEA 102, but you put way more effort into trying to build the damn thing compared to just buying a pre-built NEA 102.
Well, and you're getting something different too, right? Because the 102 is a 308, whereas we're talking 223, right?
But you can get the modern Varminter in 223 for, I think it starts at $2,700.
And that's still way too much money, man.
That's right around where you're going to be building a Maccabee Defense into, though.
Yeah, I bet you if you take a look at what you're spending on this build, and you build it right, you do like a really nice barrel, a decent BCG, a good trigger on there, you're going to get up there pretty quick.
Look, the one thing that I'm concerned about is, I mean, just take a small step aside and quickly concentrate on something that you just said, Adriel. What does the bolt carrier group really do in terms of performance?
Oh, I wouldn't worry about the BCG. I'd worry about the barrel. I'd worry about the trigger.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like you said, like a really good BCG is like, well, what's a really good BCG?
Not a total piece of crap. Like not like a Chinese BCG that's just some, I don't know.
Yeah, because
he said
I keep seeing them often.
I haven't cleaned it off.
Them often. Now more than ever, there seems to be prevalence of good quality bolt carrier groups, nickel boron bolt carrier groups, and they always seem to be going on sale for around $100, $150. Is that a good bolt carrier group?
You're talking about the Arms East Stag Arms one, right?
Yeah.
I'd buy that. I'd buy that in a second.
So let's price one out. Let's say, so let's, what, $120 average for bolt carrier group?
Like a cheap
150 go for a boron one.
150, yeah.
For 150. So you're probably going to spend another $300, probably $350 on a reasonable barrel, right?
More.
Let's be conservative here to give Maccabee.
Oh, well, if that's the thing, if you want to start going conservative, you can buy a fucking Norinco like 5.56, rip its guts out, and spend $500 on a rifle, $1,000 on the upper and lower, and you got a $100 rifle.
The thing that throws me off about that, and this is like, because I've talked to Wyatt, it's super cool. This gun's coming out. I was super disappointed in the pricing. Is that everyone talks about like I could buy a Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 2. I could have got the entire gun and put the parts on it, and now I've got it. But like realistically, and this is me, and like God knows, like because I can write off guns as business purchases, I really don't mind spending a lot of money on them because I hate taxes, and it's a great way to avoid them.
One problem with tearing apart an M&P Sport 2 is it's still just a 16-inch barrel, you know, but a restricted gun anyway, and the whole point of this Maccabee is to not be restricted.
But I could drive down to CTCS and get like a barrel from Phil and be like, done. But and by drive down, I mean now that I live in Kelowna, like 5 hours, but
it's still worth it.
I could put that entire gun together, but what I wouldn't do, what I struggle with is that logic, because everyone says that, but I think there's going to be a logic sort of split where guys are going to go, I spent $1,000 in this receiver set. You know what I'm not going to do? Throw in a Norinco.
$1,000.
Yeah, like why would you like? Okay, so the receiver is the least important part of the gun functionally. You know, you can make that stuff out of recycled pop cans, as we know. Why would you spend $1,000 on a really nice Canadian-made receiver set to throw like just junk in it? Like, it's
because they want something cheap, but because the receiver costs so much, they got to cut their costs in other places to make up for the fact that they spent $1,000 on 2 hunks of aluminum.
But people
just
want
get something else
cheap,
then.
Yeah, if someone wants a cheap, non-restricted blaster, they'll just go look at what Adriel's cleaning and be like, ta-da, done.
See, yes, but they want, what they want is the possibility to upgrade it in the future. They want something cheaper now with the possibility of upgrades.
So there's something that I think we should also consider.
$4,000 on it.
There's something we should also consider is the fact that the myth of the non-restricted AR-15 is hanging so close to a lot of people now. They've been wanting this. They've been crying about it. They've been writing posts and they've been saying, what the fuck is up with the registration? Why is the AR-15 restricted and every other fucking black gun is not restricted? For Maccabee, they did what they shouldn't have, but they could have, and they did do it, which is we can make this and we can charge whatever we want, because we're going to dangle in front of the people that have been crying for years for a non-restricted AR-15, and they're going to go, this is our price, pay it if you want to do what you've always been writing about, talking about, and crying about for as long as you've had a PAL, which is a black gun that shoots 5.56 for under $2,500.
Well, the real kicker is apparently Rick at ATRS has said he's going to release his modern varminter receiver sets for $950.
Oh, baby. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Competition.
So,
competition.
Are we going to just have $50 increments until they're both $500 3-4 years from now, or until the AR becomes non-restricted and they both die? Like,
no, because I think what's going to happen is someone's going to come out, because now that like the door's open, variants are much easier to get classified than new guns, right? And someone can come up with a variant of the Maccabee defense gun without stepping on their toes in terms of IP.
Not really. If it becomes an actual variant of Maccabee Defense's gun, then Maccabee Defense, if it's classified as a variant, will have legal grounds to sue.
But Maccabee Defense's gun is a variant of the Armalite XM103A whatever prototype that it leans on, so they don't even own the
initial IP. But the thing with that is they've got original patents on some of the modifications they've made, but they're relying on expired patents whose intellectual property rights have long stopped existing.
There's nothing stopping someone else from relying on those same patents.
Exactly, but that's the thing. Someone else would have to do the same thing Maccabee Defense did and take existing patents and redesign them in a slightly different way than what Maccabee Defense did. Because they can't just go to Maccabee Defense's thing and build off of that, because then that's a violation of their patents.
Yeah. Unless someone builds it over in China.
And then Maccabee just,
someone's going to come up. I think one of two things is going to happen. China's either going to start churning them out by some strange miracle. They'll have stumbled across the same patents that Maccabee Defense did, and it'll be super coincidental. Or someone really smart will come up with a similar design that doesn't step on the IP of Maccabee Defense, and instead of actually producing it as a manufacturer, they'll simply license the design to an existing manufacturer in Canada to produce it overseas in Turkey or China.
Well, that's one thing I'm wondering about, A, with Canada Ammo, because they love doing that. B, Turkey is not going to produce rifles. They're almost completely illegal.
They can't produce rifled barrels, but they can produce receiver sets.
It's very stupid. But the other one I'm wondering about is Kodiak Defense, because they've got that WR762 and they seem to be wanting to like be a real gun company. So they might look at this Maccabee and go, "Hey, we should do that, and we should do it for slightly cheaper than that."
I don't think anyone can do it. The thing is, I do think the cost of producing receivers in Canada is quite high. And I think the best bet is someone just licensing it to someone that'll build offshore.
I think it depends on the kind of machinery they have to do it, because I have no idea how they're building the WR762, but if they've got the materials to build those and keep the cost around the same as every other VZ58, then maybe they can leverage the manufacturing abilities they already have compared to Maccabee, who might not have as many, and they can keep the cost of whatever their solution is down.
Aren't those WR stamp guns?
Maybe, I don't know. If they can figure out a way to stamp a gun that takes AR parts, what the fuck?
Isn't that an AR-180?
Wasn't the AR-180 made of polymer?
What?
But there's
What?
those Nodex
What
Bud
are you guys
lowers.
talking about? No, they're a stamped upper receiver.
No,
Yeah.
no, but the lower. Which one was it that was the lower was made of polymer?
Yeah.
And they're releasing a bunch of
Yeah,
metal.
the
ones
AR-180
now.
is a polymer
Yeah.
lower, but the upper is stamped. That's one of the things that was like, oh, that's really neat. It's a stamped AR kind of looking gun.
Yeah, so then that means
But,
that there's already theoretical existence for that, so they can just stamp a lower and upper receiver.
There is a thing. Didn't you own an AR-180 at some point, Adriel?
Yeah, I had a 180B. They're an okay gun, but I think like the whole nice thing about the AR-15 is that there's a whole industry around it. Like it doesn't matter that the AR-180B is $1,000 or was $1,000 when I bought mine, and they're non-restricted because it's not an AR-15. An AR-15, you can swap barrels, you can put a different trigger, you've got a good jillion stock options, good jillion forend options, and I think that's the allure of the Maccabee, is that it buys you access into the platform without the restriction.
Mm-hmm.
I still have a problem with
I
their
want the
price
platform
of it. Like $1,000, like even $600, I thought was a little bit much. Like I'd consider one at $500, but $1,000 is way too high.
Just wait. I mean, if ATRS is going to compete and Maccabee is going to compete and someone else is going to start building their, like, that'll take years. But if you can wait years...
Well, if we can wait years, we can elect a conservative majority and de-restrict the AR-15.
Yeah,
Sure. And then I'll have a really, really, really nice set of upper and lowers. And then that's it. Maybe at that point, that's one of the things that I was thinking about. M4 lower doesn't sell. I'll keep it. I'll build a long range out of the SLR combo. And then I'll just build a stupid short little, blaster out of that M4 lower. And that's the way that Grover's going to roll.
On a completely unrelated topic, Dan, y'all did a thing of the VZ61 versus the Evo 3. I read that article. Now, is there any reason I shouldn't buy a VZ61?
No, absolutely not. The only downside to owning a VZ61 is A, it shoots weird ammo. B, it blows powder all over your face all the time. But they're awesome. There's no getting around it. I've had 3 of them because every time I buy one, I'm like, oh, I shoot it a bunch, then it goes in the safe, and then I sell it, and then about 6 months later, I'm like, oh, I miss my Scorpion, and I go and buy another one.
So
just keep looking at it, like,
that's a 32 ACP Scorpion, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Every time I look at those, I just go, this is so cool. And I don't know why I think it's so cool, but I've just always thought it looks so cool.
Well,
They are that cool.
They are a really neat gun. I was watching Forgotten Weapons video that
oh my god! I wish I could get the full auto. Holy shit!
When I was looking at it, I was like going, no fucking way! What the fuck are they doing? They had like the internals of that gun is something out of like sci-fi. I couldn't believe the way that gun actually worked. Are you familiar with that, Adriel or Dan?
Dude, how could you be underestimating technology?
Yeah. It is not truly blowback. It is delayed by a weird
system in
mechanism
the grip
that is inside of the grip of the pistol.
Dan, you've got to have a couple of these things. Why don't you tell us about how the action in these things work?
It seems super, super smart, and it is in that really like Eastern European style. Like this is a really simple way of doing something. It's not like roller delayed blowback or anything like that. It's just basically a piston in the grip that retards the bolt's rearward travel. It's
that's interesting. There was there's a Nork Chinese pistol that does a gas delayed blowback that my buddy had that was fucking weird. Had a piston underneath the barrel. Same kind of sounds like the same kind of thing. That's weird.
Now, Adriel, if you have a time, go look through the to Forgotten Weapons. Ian just did a video maybe like a week or 2 weeks ago on the Scorpion, and I was looking at that going, but why?
I think the craziest thing about it is how a little kick it has in full auto, but he's just holding it out like a fucking pistol. It doesn't jump. Yeah. It doesn't move. It doesn't anything.
He doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything. Full auto, 20 round, 32 ACP. It looks like he's shooting a pellet gun.
Well, I imagine delaying the blowback lets VZ get away with a lighter bolt as well.
Potentially, right? Since the blowback system's in the pistol grip there, it's directing some of the force downward instead of all of it backward.
No, it's like it doesn't just direct it. When the bolt comes to the rear, basically a spring-loaded hook grabs the bolt temporarily. The weight within the bolt moves forward, then the hook releases it. So there's no actual inertia coming downward. It's not like a Czech Chris. It's just this really like super Soviet steampunky springy bolt retarder thing.
But it's Czech cheapo Chris.
It is not a Czech Chris. Oh my god.
But I mean, the thing is, one they do shoot. Like I've shot them full auto, I've shot them semi-auto. They have no recoil because 32 ACP is tiny, and the guns are actually shockingly heavy.
Yeah. Well, it's a big hunk of stamped metal, isn't it?
Now, did you try the thing I'd heard where you're supposed to shove the thing in your chin to aim with it?
I've seen video of that, and you know what?
I like my chin.
I guess. Well, no, there was. I don't know if it's a meme. I don't know if there's any kind of verified, background on this. But due to the hilariously short nature of the stock in those Scorpions, there was a few months ago, a few years ago, footage or pictures of people shooting with the stock resting on their chin and just looking straight at the gun.
Everything I needed to know about learning to shoot the Scorpion, I learned from GoldenEye.
There you go.
So you take two of them and just walk around like this, and then when you're out of ammo, you just point them downwards.
No. You don't walk around. You just hold them in front of you, then you stop, then you start aiming.
You also need to enter all washrooms from the ceiling.
Oh Jesus. Okay, what do you got in store? You got any freebies? Any previews, hints?
How long until we get the Crover issue?
Yes.
Crover might get the Crover issue before Crover expects to get the Crover issue. I don't think everyone will get the Crover issue because that would just be weird as hell. Because everyone that isn't on Reddit would be like, "What the shit is this?" They already get hate mail from people being like, "Why do you put your magazine in an envelope?" And it's like, imagine putting dick butt on the cover. They'd be like, "Why do you put it in an envelope with dick butt on the cover?"
I'm not. I don't. Oh fuck! It's not in this room. But I have a print of that cover, and it's fucking framed, man. It's
hopefully soon you can have something else to frame.
Next up, have to explain that to your children, Grover.
Oh fuck, man! I'm gonna be telling stories about that cover, and I will explain the entire context, and people will hate me, but I will tell them.
Oh, we did. We have the next issue coming out soon. It's in the printing. It's printing literally right now, and it goes to Canada Post in 4 days. But it's our 5th anniversary. Like this is the end of 5 years of publishing. So I am planning to do some sort of probably large giveaway.
Cool.
So. Not sure what it'll be, but it'll be non-restricted because by law in Canada or BC, we have to give away non-restricted things. So it'll be something interesting and non-restricted. Maybe it will even be something new and non-restricted.
Give away restricted.
Yeah, Ontario and BC, I don't know about the other problems, but I know on Ontario and BC, you cannot do a contest to give away a restricted firearm.
Someone told you wrong because I've seen Ontario-based contests giving away restricteds
that are totally illegal.
not know the law.
I've talked to like
Crazy. It could have just been like, hey, we're totally giving away a prize. Oh, what's the prize? Oh, you'll see when you get it.
There have been some. I know that the reason I looked into it actually is because the CSSA gave away a restricted gun a long time ago, because the CSSA used to be the Canadian, or not the Ontario Handgun Federation. And they got their PP slapped by the Ontario Gaming Commission. And they were telling me about this because I wanted to give away a gun, and I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to give away like a handgun and stuff because I have quite a few that I don't shoot. And they're like, you can't, because in Ontario, BC, and a bunch of other provinces, it's illegal. And I was like, oh, shit.
So then you do what everyone does who doesn't want to get a gaming permission from the gaming thing, and you demand people answer a skill testing question. So that way it's not entirely up to chance.
I read because I remember reading the BC law, and the BC law says it doesn't matter if it's a giveaway, a contest, or anything else. You cannot give away a restricted firearm in any way, shape, or form. Lottery, giveaway, you name it.
That is bullshit. I thought this was America.
Like I said, I swear to God, I've seen giveaways of ARs and pistols in Ontario before.
Yep, I've seen it too. I also know the Ontario Gaming Commission is looking into a bunch of them. So, because the problem is, like, all it takes is Wendy to see it and being like, "Oh."
Just kick Orville Redenbacher out of office and finally elect a conservative for once. Goddamn.
Don't worry, Prime Minister Good Looking is, I don't know. How is he doing? I haven't watched the National in a while, so I haven't seen how the propaganda is going. How is the propaganda going? That well, huh?
We were leading. The CPC actually was up in the polls about 2 weeks
really?
ago.
That's kind of really bad because the CPC elected a nobody.
They did, but we were in a minority government position 3 weeks ago. We're back down into a liberal minority. However, my hope is that I personally, I like Andrew Scheer. He's a pretty pro-gun dude. He's also like super tall. He's like 6'5" or something like that. Because I had him once and I was like, holy shit, this dude is a giant. But the height aside, I think Jagmeet in the NDP and Trudeau, I mean, the NDP hasn't even spooled up their campaign machine, and when they do, I think they're going to split the left so hard.
So we need to be helping the NDP here, really.
Oh, for sure. If someone's like, "Hey, I'm thinking of voting NDP," be like, "Oh, do it, buddy. They're awesome."
I know someone who once he hated Adam Vaughan so much that when Adam Vaughan was running for the Liberals, he helped the NDP candidate in his riding because he hated Adam Vaughan so much.
Happens. I mean,
divide and conquer, people. Divide and conquer.
The thing with Singh that's going to be troublesome is he keeps refusing to denounce Sikh terrorism. He keeps getting asked about it, and he keeps dodging the question, and that'll come back to bite him in the ass.
I don't know if anyone will care. I mean, Trudeau said a bunch of stupid things and still does, and no one seems to care. So I'm hoping that people will just look at the virtue signaling and be like, "Hey, I like this guy."
And maybe he'll just scream about, "Oh, stop being racist," and then everyone will be like, "Oh my God, you're being racist towards the Sikh guy."
Pretty much. Or people will be like, "Well, I guess it's racist if I don't vote for the Sikh guy." So, I mean,
he's gonna win Brampton. Like, I know that's why he's trying to wait and run in Brampton, and 100% he's going to win Brampton.
I think so. I think he's going to split the vote, but I say that in the hope he splits the vote with some kind of concern that he might actually like do a Jack Layton and we might end up like the Liberals in 2012 and being like, "Oh shit, please no." But
I don't think he's got the stuff to Jack Layton it up there. Jack Layton came at just he happened to be sticking around when he really shouldn't have, because I refuse to believe he didn't know he was dying, but he happened to be in the perfect place at the perfect time for that. He was the only Quebec-born candidate in a time when the Liberals had elected an American as their leader. Like, that was just the perfect storm for the NDP.
Well, they had a lot of money too, and they just don't have the war chest that they used to.
All right, folks, before we turn it in for the night, we will touch on the top post of the week. If you please will take a look at the screen right now, we will see that it seems to be that the most popular thing is something about a certain gun we talked about, 81 by the Canadian Gun Bolt. Thank you, Quick Dub, for posting that and earning yourself some nice karma. Then we have a nice little post about 2 shotguns in one backpack. Adriel, care to comment on the feasibility of having a long gun and then a backpacking break action shotgun for predator defense?
I'm a pussy, so I don't like carrying heavy stuff.
Hey, that's exactly why my tag is that thing. I'm also a pussy. I sold my AR because it was too heavy. Then we have the firearm block link for the next time civilized. For the next time during a civilized debate, someone cites fear states regarding suppressors. Sure. Yes, everybody that knows anything about guns knows that there's a bunch of suppressors over in Europe, and then there is really, 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 really no reason why there shouldn't be suppressors here. Except about that, didn't we? Didn't we hear back from the government as to why we don't have suppressors?
Oh God, I wrote like fucking 5 paragraphs in response to their 4 sentences.
Can you give us the cliff notes before we?
Okay, so basically the government said suppressors are staying illegal because they've been illegal for a long time, and also public safety, to which I responded, arguing they've been illegal for a long time is a logical fallacy. By that argument, I could say homosexuality should be illegal, marijuana should be illegal, a bunch of other things should be illegal because they were illegal a long time ago.
What are you talking about? You're talking about homosexuality should be illegal. Jeez.
The reason I was saying that is because it's an appeal
to... That's not this show. This is not that show. Come on.
Hey. This is about a man and a woman getting married and then getting divorced, okay?
It's an appeal to tradition fallacy, so that's what they were trying, and I used other examples of that. And then the whole thing of it causing undue public safety concern is a load of shit, because we have a whole bunch of European countries, and I got into this with one fucking guy who just would not listen to this shit. We have a whole bunch of European countries where there are no mass murders committed with suppressors. Even in America, where you can get a suppressor, people who go on shooting sprees don't use suppressors. But this one guy pulled up like 3 articles of someone who killed someone with a suppressor and goes, look, they're used in murders. And I'm like, you don't understand it. In order for this to be a concern, there needs to be a trend, and there's no trend anywhere, ever.
Hey, you want to see a trend? How about a trend of shit posts? Yeah! That pullover by OPP post was an excellent parody of an earlier post about getting pulled over by the RCMP. They all came and raped his Mosin, if I remember correctly. That was pretty funny. Then we have an excellent post by Salish Sailor. That is a lot of Lugers, but not just any Luger. What kind of Luger is that, hey, Crazy?
I mean, I'm looking at that. It looks like it's just a standard P08 Luger in there. Oh, no. Is that a Swiss Luger? oh, fuck. So those are legal in Canada, and they go for about $2,300 to $2,500.
Yeah, but well, that's the whole joke of this is this as a friend in the U.S. sent this guy a picture of that. So
yeah, that friend in the U.S. sent him a picture of like a fucking Mercedes-Benz E-Class in a fucking crate there. Jesus.
Yeah. Then we have the NFA appeals the court decision in Quebec. Please fight that. That is such a horror, a crock of shit. And then we have a lot more posts. We got a reloading bitch, getting your stack on. This was cool. This happened just a few hours ago. Check it out. 1870 Enfield.
I mean, that's an immaculate shape for the age of it, to be honest. Like that.
Look at those rounds. Is that paper wrapped?
Yeah. You said cardboard. So that could be cardboard.
That is cool. And then this is the link that I used to buy the SLR. I bought an upper and a lower, and I hope to at some point make something obnoxious and paint it gold, just because Elixir will not shut up about that gold upper and lower. Folks, is there anything else on the docket for today that you'd like to talk about? So
you asked about these, and then I had to kill my video before I could answer them. I can't find any information about what kind of increments they are. They are not stamped on here. They are not on Bushnell's website, so I don't know if they're half MOA or quarter MOA.
So you just eyeball it. That's it.
I eyeballed it, and I assumed it was a quarter MOA when I was doing the adjustments, and it kind of worked out, but it could be half, and I'd have no idea. So, yeah.
Hey, Dan.
It won't be a quarter MOA on a red dot. It'll be half.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, it's time for you to do your plug. Do your plug right now, man.
I got no plug. Please.
Fuck it, say buy my magazines. Do it. Fuck you, buy my magazines.
Hey, if you like magazines, then you could try buying my magazine. If you don't, then you probably shouldn't.
If you don't like magazines, buy his magazine anyway, damn it.
Yes, buy his magazine, damn it.
Then I can spend
Yeah,
money on a
plugs.
webcam for next week.
Yes.
I'm growing a glorious Movember mustache, and it's a shame to not share this with the world.
Oh, don't worry.
Oh, they're
Don't worry.
just beautiful, right?
Actually, I'm gonna lock onto Adriel for a second. Let us see that clit duster. Come on, let us see it. Let us see it. Oh yeah.
Now go find a pair of aviator sunglasses somewhere.
Yes, and channel your inner goose. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We will end tonight's show on...
Mitt, go down!
What? I didn't hear that because my camera
I think
shut
he
it
yelled,
out.
"I'm hit, I'm going down."
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah, got delayed. Got delayed. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that Top Gun reference. And we will finish tonight's show with a thank you all for watching. Thank you, Dan, for coming. Hopefully you can be with us more because we always love to have industry insiders into the show that know more than we do. Because relying on Adriel for new stuff and Crazy on old stuff and me for memes, it's just going to get tedious at some point.
Yeah, hopefully I can be on more. It's, now that we moved and stuff, things have slowed down a bit. I got more time. So
Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you, everybody. We will see everybody again in 2 weeks. Say goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
bye-bye.
And see you next time. Bye-bye.